Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome to With Jewish Youth. And I'm certainly happy to have an opportunity to be with you tonight because I have a special program to speak about a few special matters which we didn't get an opportunity to speak about in the past. I'm sure that many of you have been acquainted with the new Mitzvah campaign that has been declared by the Lubavitcher Rebbe. That is a campaign to get more and more Jews throughout the world to observe specific mitzvahs, such as to study the Holy Torah every day, that the men and boys over the age of 13 to put their tefillin, their phylacteries on every day, to affix a kosher handwritten mezuzah on the doorposts, to see to have a charity box of pushke in a conspicuous place in the house, and to see to give charity, and then also to keep the Sforim, the basic sacred books, including a Chumash, the Bible, Tehillim, which is Psalms, and the Siddur, a prayer book, in a prominent place in each home. And so, my dear friends, this has been a very interesting and a very challenging campaign, and one which has been intensified in the last few weeks very greatly, and one that has taken on a tremendous amount of fire. And so tonight I invited to be my guest Rabbi Shmuel Greisman, who is the Director of Activities of Release Time for the National Committee for Furtherance of Jewish Education. You had an opportunity to hear him some time ago on the work of the Release Time program sponsored by our organization. But tonight he also wears another hat. Tonight he comes as a representative of the Lubavitch Youth Organization to speak about the special mitzvah campaign. Rabbi Greisman, welcome to With Jewish Youth. It's certainly a pleasure to have you with us. And I would like to begin tonight's program by asking you a very simple question. Why did the Lubavitcher Rebbe declare this campaign at this time? Was there any specific reason why this was brought on, or is this just part and parcel of the general approach of Lubavitch to get more and more people identified with and involved in religion?
Well, Rabbi Hecht, I'm sure it is well known to your listening audience that the Lubavitcher Rebbe has always been concerned and is concerned with the welfare of Jewish people all over the world, wherever they may be. Now, especially in connection with the current situation in the Holy Land, that is also well known to your listening audience, the Rebbe pointed out the importance of strengthening certain mitzvahs of the Torah. And he pointed out that although these mitzvahs, these 5 mitzvahs that we'll soon speak about, have the general essential feature common of all mitzvahs in the Torah, these 5 have a unique and particular characteristic of bringing security and protection to the Jewish people. The Rebbe also mentioned that even if the time is not a time of danger and a time of peril, it is important to forewarn a serious situation. And these 5 mitzvahs have that characteristic, that it can affect such a protective quality for the Jewish people that not only does it protect them from actions of the enemy, but even forewarns and negates completely any evil intentions in the mind of the enemy, until ultimately it would bring about that the enemy could turn into a friend.
Well, if we're going to be forestalling the enemy, why did he choose these 5 mitzvahs? And I would suggest that you do this very briefly, point out in each mitzvah where the secret weapon or the secret formula of protection lies.
In the mitzvah of Torah, that is, that every Jew should have a designated time each day for Torah study, and of course each individual according to his capacity and the time that he has available. Now, the few minutes each day that he learns, he should learn it in a set time with everything else that is unrelated to Torah forgotten and removed from his mind. The protective quality of Torah is, as the Talmud tells us, Torah shields and saves. Hatera megina umatzla. The second mitzvah that the Rebbe emphasized is tefillin. That every man and a boy 13 years of age and over should put on tefillin every weekday. The Torah tells us in Gemara Brachas that all the nations of the world shall see the name of God is called upon you, and they will fear you. So our rabbis tell us that this refers to the tefillin of the head, meaning that through the fulfillment of the mitzvah of tefillin, it instills a fear and awe into the hostile nations of the world, so that they fear to harm the Jewish people. The third mitzvah the Rebbe emphasized is the mitzvah of mezuzah, that every Jewish home should make sure to have mezuzahs affixed to its doorposts, and also those that already have mezuzahs should have them checked by a duly qualified scribe to make sure that they have all the requirements of a kosher mezuzah. That is, that they are made of parchment, that they are handwritten, and that they are in no need of repair. The Rebbe pointed out that the divine name Shin Daled Yud, Shaddai, that appears on the reverse side of the mezuzah is an acrostic of the Hebrew words which mean guardian of the doors of Israel, Shomer Dalseis Yisrael. The Rebbe also said that according to the Zohar, when it says Havaya Yishmer Tzeischa Uvayecha, that the Lord will guard your going out and coming in now and forevermore, it also refers to the mezuzah, which means, of course, that the mezuzah guards the Jew, both at home, the people that are in it, and also outside until he returns home. The fourth mitzvah that the Rebbe emphasized is the mitzvah of charity. That is to encourage Jews to give tzedakah, charity, and that every Jewish home should have a charity box, a pushka, placed in a conspicuous place in his home, so that every time he walks by and he sees the pushka, he's reminded of the mitzvah of charity, and he can also readily perform the mitzvah. Our rabbis tell us the story concerning tzedakah, that God says that because you saved the life of someone that was poor and needy by giving him tzedakah, God will do the same for you. The tzedakah pushka is also a reminder of this great zchus the Jewish people have by giving charity, and it also brings protection to the Jewish home. The fifth mitzvah that the Rebbe emphasized is Torah books, Svarim, that every Jewish home should have at least a Chumash, which is the Bible, a Tehillim, which is the Psalms of David, and a Siddur, a prayer book. The Rebbe said that these books in the Jewish home bring protection to the people in it. And also, just as in the case of the tzedakah box, the pushka, someone noticing the svarim in a conspicuous place in his home is reminded of what it says inside those svarim, in those Torah books. And that is the keeping of Torah and the performance of mitzvahs. And it also reminds us that the Torah is our life and the length of our days.
Thank you very much. I think we just had a good sermon and a good lesson in Judaism, which, aside of everything else, is important for our people to learn the significance of many of these important mitzvahs. Rabbi Greisman, I would like to ask you, what does the campaign involve? In other words, how are you going about carrying out this campaign? I think our audience will be very eager to know what services are available, what means are being engendered and employed to be able to get this thing accomplished. And I think that we maybe also could benefit from some of the offers that are being made from the services that are being provided by the volunteers.
Besides that, campaign headquarters of Lubavitch Youth Organization is preparing literature and publicizing this literature through the news media, through Jewish, Anglo-Jewish papers, through Jewish papers, English papers, general circulation papers, and through spots on radio stations throughout New York City metropolitan area. This week, campaign headquarters dispatched a dozen trucks, a complete fleet of trucks throughout the metropolitan area. These trucks are equipped with sound systems that relay the important message to people on the streets, people that are in apartment houses looking out, people that are in office buildings watching the truck pass through the city streets. They relay the message. It goes around with Jewish music to liven up and to catch the attention of the people. It has signs on the outside, and they are supplied. And the most important thing about these trucks is they are supplied with mitzvah kits. That means that people that are invited into the truck can, on the spot, in the truck, put on a pair of tefillin. They can also get a pair of tefillin if they'd like to purchase it from us. Or if they want, they are told to purchase it from a local bookstore. Mezuzahs are also a part of these mitzvah kits that are found on the trucks. Besides that, there's literature, information, exactly how people should put the mezuzahs on their doors, and we'll speak about it a little bit later on the program. It is interesting to note that because of the massive campaign, because of the emergency situation that has arisen, and the importance of these 5 mitzvahs, these trucks are our Jewish tanks in our war against assimilation. The people invited into the trucks, besides putting on tefillin, are told about the different parts of the campaign. They are given charity boxes that they can give to any worthwhile cause that they want. They are told about Jewish books, the Svarim, and there are books on the truck. There are Chumashim, prayer books, Siddurim, Tehillims on the truck for people, made available for people to take with them. The most important part of this campaign is to make the Jewish masses aware of the importance of these 5 mitzvahs and how they can carry them out in actuality.
Rabbi Greisman, what I'd like to know is who mans these trucks and in what areas do they go? I mean, how do you choose an area where to go? And what is some of the response from the public? In other words, are you getting a good response? Are people sort of excited about the fact that you're coming around with this new novel idea, or they feel that this is a little too brazen to go out into the open, bringing God into the streets and into the office or garment centers or wherever you may be going? I think that both these parts would be very interested. In other words, just to review once again, who mans the trucks, where do they go, and what is some of the response that you're getting from the public?
The volunteers, the people that man these trucks, are volunteers of the Lubavitch Youth Organization, members of the Lubavitch Youth Organization. However, since the campaign began, we have received many calls from people in Jewish communities, people in different areas of the city that have volunteered their efforts toward this vital cause. And these people, too, go along with the trucks and speak to the people in the city streets. The reaction, the general reaction of the people that came into the truck was one of praise and acclaim. The reason is simple, because people are being made aware of things that they hadn't known before. Everyone that walks on the street wants to have a mezuzah on their doorpost. Everyone would like to do something, and people do things that are helpful and beneficial to the Jewish people, especially in the Holy Land. But they are just unaware. They are unaware which ammunition to use in a fight against our enemies. The spiritual ammunition for this time today is these 5 mitzvahs that were emphasized and detailed just before. Let me tell you some interesting things about some people that came up to the truck. We received a call yesterday from a secretary that works in Manhattan, works on the 60th floor, and she said she saw this truck riding by, and it rode by once again, several times back and forth, the music and the announcement that was made. She picked up a phone number. She called our office and asked, what is going on? What's this all about? What's this big tumult? Wherever she goes, be it down in 34th Street and 6th Avenue, at Rockefeller Plaza, 42nd Street and 5th Avenue, in different parts of Queens, Brooklyn, and Brighton Beach and Flatbush, she hears and she has found out that there's a big tumult going on. Explaining it over the phone, we told her about the importance of mezuzah, the importance for her home, the importance for the Jewish people in general, and we received an order right over the phone for 9 to 10 mezuzahs, depending on for the rooms in her house. There's something else that I'd like to tell you. Besides the trucks that go out into the city streets, we have people that canvass from door to door and bring this campaign down to a grassroots level on a one-to-one basis. We speak to people in their homes, and we tell them, we carry mezuzahs with us when we go there, Jewish books, charity pushkas, and we speak to people in their homes, the general reaction of these people that we meet is one of surprise, being that they were unaware of what is going on. We have found, it is very important to point out that many people are unaware of the importance of mezuzah and also what the mitzvah consists of. A mezuzah must be made of parchment. It is not made out of paper and it is not printed. It is made only of parchment, which takes a long procedure in the preparation of this parchment. Then it must be written by an duly qualified scribe with special ink. And the scribe writes it with the same letters that are found in the Sefer Torah, in the Torah scrolls. It is for this reason that many people are surprised of the cost of a mezuzah. They think they can get a mezuzah today for $1, $1.50, $2. But this, if a mezuzah is being offered by anyone that is offering a mezuzah for this price, I can almost guarantee that this mezuzah is not a kosher one, because the preparation, the parchment, the writing of it, prices have risen in general lately. The cost of a good mezuzah, a good kosher mezuzah, is $5 at a minimum. There are many people that have been canvassing. Some of the volunteers that came back to the office have told us that they have found in certain mezuzah cases a little piece of paper that had the 10 Commandments printed on it. A mezuzah has to have the Shema Yisrael, the famous Hear, O Israel, and the Vahoya Im Shemaya, these two parshas, these two parts of the Torah, these two chapters of the Torah. We have found mezuzahs that people have cut down to size to fit into the case. And in many instances we have found just a case without the mezuzah at all.
Well, I could very well see that those who are listening to my program now, if they would go over perhaps to their doorpost and take off the mezuzah, they may be astonished to find that either the case is empty or perhaps the case has some kind of a piece of photographed paper rather than the parchment, and certainly many of the letters have been chipped or have been already made, which automatically made the mezuzah unfit for use. May I just correct you on one point, Rabbi Greisman? You don't get a kosher mezuzah today for $5. I couldn't find them. We've been buying loads of mezuzahs, and our prices that we've been charged up to now have been way above this. But let me ask you this: what happens if a person cannot afford a mezuzah for $5, or well, you said $5, but actually it's about $6.50 to $8.50. We're paying $8.50 lately. We'd like to know what do you do in that case? Is there any provision for a subsidy for something like this? And I think this is also very significant.
Upon presenting mezuzahs to the people that request them from us at the trucks or at the door, we tell them that we are presenting them the mezuzah, and we tell them the cost. They can give us whatever they want. We're not out to sell mezuzahs. We just want mezuzahs to be on the doorpost of the doors of Israel. We tell them that the cost is so much and so much. The reason that I mentioned $5 is because that is already with a subsidy that has been covered by our organization, by the campaign headquarters of Lubavitch Youth, and that's why I said $5. Of course, we tell people that the cost is more. We don't ask people that they have. We don't tell people that they have to give us this amount of money. We just tell them that the costs are so much and so much, and that the campaign, being that it covers thousands and thousands of mezuzahs, they can imagine what the costs of covering all the expenses are, and that's why we tell them the cost of the mezuzah. We would be glad if we could to give out mezuzahs free of charge.
How do you manage to communicate with people who don't speak English? Let's say if there is a Russian family, how do they get the message about the mezuzah, or perhaps French or Spanish speaking or Hebrew speaking or Yiddish speaking? How do you get the message across to these people, and what would you do? Do you have bilingual representatives, or do you have these kind of tapes that talk all languages? How does it work?
Well, sitting in our office down on Kingston Avenue and Eastern Parkway, the offices of Lubavitch Youth, we have people that speak Russian, Italian, French, Spanish, English, Yiddish, and Hebrew. Anyone that calls our office in any language that he speaks will probably find someone. If not at all times, there are people that come in, we can have them called, that speak these languages and communicate with different people. In fact, we have special groups that are visiting families from Israel that speak only Hebrew. We have different people that visit just homes of people that have just been immigrants of Russia and speak to them in their language about these campaigns.
How do you manage to get enough mezuzahs? Are there that many? The way it seems, there is a tremendous shortage now. And how do you keep up with the demands that are being made?
That is correct, Rabbi Hecht. We have the same problem. We have a special committee that is canvassing New York City, that has contacts with Eretz Yisrael and different Svarim stores, bookstores throughout the United States and in foreign countries to acquire mezuzahs that are of a tremendous shortage. We cannot even cover the demand that we have. We are short of mezuzahs, and we'd also like to ask anyone that is listening to this program if they have access or connections to anyone that does have kosher mezuzahs written by a duly qualified scribe. We are very interested in getting in contact with them to arrange for us to be able to get these mezuzahs.
Well, you know what I did? I took a scribe and he writes for me alone. And all his spare time he uses to write the mezuzahs that we will be taking from him for the needs that we have. Incidentally, ladies and gentlemen, I should like to say that we have a service in East Flatbush through the office of the Rabbinic Board of East Flatbush. You are able to have a representative come to your home and check your mezuzahs, take them off or check them over for you and tell you exactly if they're kosher or not. If you will call 498-0900, this is a 24-hour telephone service, 498-0900, I'm sure they will be very happy to contact you. This takes in East Flatbush, Flatbush, and Borough Park. These three areas, we have this special group of young men who are working on this project and will be very happy to lend their services to you. I would like to say that I was fortunate to be one of those who presented a mezuzah to Walter Annenberg, the ambassador to London when I was in London, and I want to tell you that he was very deeply impressed, in spite of the fact he's somewhat assimilated as far as Judaism goes, but it sort of brought back old memories to him from his yesteryears when he still was a little more involved with Jewish living and Jewish observances. So there is a place and there is a spot in everyone's heart for this great and beautiful mitzvah. Rabbi Greisman, you noticing, you were signaling me, you want to say something?
No, when you were speaking about the scribe that you have writing mezuzahs for you, I'd like to tell the public that in our door-to-door canvassing, they're usually accompanied by a scribe who checks mezuzahs on the spot, at the home of these people, and we fix mezuzahs if the repair can be made at that place.
Rabbi Greisman, I think we reach a point now where we should, first of all, find out how far spread is this. We don't have too much time left. Is this only in New York, or is this going on in other parts of the world, or other lands, other communities?
The campaign is on a worldwide basis. There are the same trucks that are going through the metropolitan area of New York City are going through major cities in the United States, in Europe, in Canada, Israel, South Africa, South America, and as far as Australia.
All right. That sets us straight on one item. Now, I would like also, I think, to give the people the address of the Mitzvah headquarters, which is, of course, 770 Eastern Parkway. All you have to do is write the word Lubavitch or Mitzvah Campaign, 770 Eastern Parkway, Brooklyn, New York, 11213. The telephone number, the special telephone number that has been set up to handle your calls is 778-4270. That's 778-4270, and if the line is busy, have a little patience. You can just imagine these are telephone calls that keep coming in all day and all night. 778-4270, Lubavitch, 770 Eastern Parkway, Brooklyn, New York. I think, Rabbi Greisman, that before we sign off tonight, we should quickly review the 5 points of the Mitzvah campaign, and those who want assistance will be calling in tomorrow to this office or to your office, the office of Lubavitch, to have somebody assist them in whatever part they are mostly interested in, and I'm sure they will be interested in all. So if you will quickly give us the rundown once again of these 5 mitzvahs, I'm sure we will be doing a great service to our radio audience.
Torah study campaign, that every Jewish person have a set time in the day for learning Torah. The tefillin campaign, that every male 13 years of age and over should put on tefillin on every weekday. The mezuzah campaign, to have mezuzahs and to have the mezuzahs checked, affixed to the doorpost of your home. The charity campaign, to have a charity box in a conspicuous place in your home and to put in charity. And the Torah books campaign, to have a sacred books, a chumash, a tehillim, and a siddur at least, besides others, in your home. Let me just remind and point out once again that these 5 mitzvahs are being emphasized because they have a unique characteristic of strengthening protection and security for the Jewish people in general and especially in Israel.
I would just like to say that this afternoon I was visiting with a very prominent businessman in his office, and we had the pleasure not to speak about money, but to speak about mitzvahs. And 2 things were performed this afternoon. One was that he put on tefillin for the first time in 50 years, and the second was that he affixed a mezuzah on his door and recited the blessing. And whoever didn't see the gleam on his face doesn't know what means true happiness. And so I'm sure if you would just speak to people, make them understand that it's identity that is important, involvement in Judaism, and a return back to the source, back to the main stream of Judaism. This is the way it works, and this is the answer to our dilemmas and our problems, and this is the only way we will ever be able to spell out the success that we need to have. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this brings to a close another With the Jewish Youth program. But before I sign off, I would like you to know that we are now dealing with the New York State Police, and we hope to be able to bring you 1 or 2 programs next week on the dangers of vacationing areas, such as hitchhiking and other dangers that are very prevalent today in resort areas, and young men and young ladies, even older people, don't realize what's happening today in the world. And I've contacted Poughkeepsie and Albany, and we are working on having the representatives of the New York State Police be my guests on the show next week. Now, you know my schedule is an irregular one because of the fact that Camp Emunah Mi'etz Hashem will be opening this coming Wednesday, and that's the 26th of June, when the Kanahara, close to 600 children will be leaving to Camp Emunah Tiny Tots, Camp Emunah Intermediates, and the Summer Institute will be opening a week later. For the college girls and the college men will be coming up also a week later on July the 3rd. So my schedule is irregular, but I will try from time to time to inject between the replays that you're going to be hearing of my tapes of that we did in the past. You'll be hearing new shows that will be injected according to the need of the time. By the way, on July 2nd, from 9:30 on until 3 o'clock a.m., you will have the opportunity of hearing the Lubavitcher Rebbe live on WEVD AM and FM, and the translation will be by myself. I will be at the mic to give you a blow-by-blow description of what's going on in the headquarters of Lubavitch, which will be celebrating the 47th anniversary of the liberation of the former Lubavitcher Rebbe from Tsarist Russia, where he was imprisoned, and you will have an opportunity to hear some very startling, very interesting things, especially the voice of the Rebbe himself, the songs, and what takes place there, and then I will try to give you the translation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't have an opportunity really to say goodbye to you for the summer. Let me take this opportunity to wish you all a very healthy and happy summer, a pleasant one, a peaceful one, one that will bring with it an enrichment in your lives, physically, spiritually, and every other way. And until Mi'etz Hashem, Monday night, I just want to say that the time for lighting of candles will be tomorrow at 8:13. Shabbos ends at 9:21. God bless you all.